Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the distinguished annual event, Queen Rania Teacher Academy Forum 2024, under the theme Collaborative Pathways, Elevating Education Through Partnerships. We extend our sincere gratitude to you all for attending and warmly welcoming you to this year's forum. Established in 2009, Queen Rania Teacher Academy is a non-profit organization that embraces the vision of Her Majesty Queen Rania Al Abdullah to enhance the quality of education by empowering teachers and educators with essential skills. QRTA efforts to provide innovative, high-quality professional development programs across Jordan and the Arab world is highly remarkable by all teachers across the Arab world and the region. QRTA actively supports the educational community, reflecting its commitment to advancing education and enhancing educators' skills through a variety of specialized initiatives. These initiatives provide opportunities for continuous learning and advanced training for teachers and school leaders. As part of these efforts, QRTA hosts an annual forum that gathers distinguished educators and experts from around the world to share experiences, foster innovation, and promote collaboration in education. This year's forum stands out with an impressive lineup of workshops and panel discussions designed to inspire partnerships and empower educators. Our sessions focus on equipping participants with practical tools and strategies to enhance learning environments, foster collaboration, and address the evolving challenges in education. Before we begin, we would like to remind you that a certificate of attendance will be available. We also invite you to participate in the feedback survey, which will be shared with you before the workshop ends. Your insights will help us to enhance future events. Thank you for the participation and valuable presence. Please now allow me to welcome Jiman Ammari, the founder and the CEO of Autism MENA and the local and international counselor for autism. And also please allow me to welcome Christine Der Sarkisian, who holds a doctorate in education and a master's in clinical psychology with extensive experience in applied behavior analysis, ABA. Christine is a highly qualified behavior analyst with multiple certificates, including BACB, QABA, and IBAO. Please, Christine, proceed.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you? Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Shadi. I'm very pleased to be today in this forum, and I'm so glad to join the QRTA forum. It's a privilege to have so many dedicated professionals attending this session, which is an essential topic about ABA and inclusive education.
Thank you.
So because you have introduced me, so I had included a slide to introduce myself. As you had mentioned, I'm really honored to be on this platform today. My journey in education started 26 years ago, and I started working with individuals with special needs. And as you said, I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and my passion to applied behavior analysis, the science itself, is really great because I have sensed the rewarding outcome we have experienced over years with individuals with special educational needs. And because the inclusion and accepting diversity is something that I embrace really closely to my heart. So we will be talking about how to have this inclusive education set up to best serve our students. Now, before we carry on, before we dive into today's session, I'd like to get a sense of who is attending. Like, I'd like to know if we have teachers, coordinators, school principals, special educational people, or policymakers in educational field, or administrators. So if we can have a quick overview of how many teachers we have here. Can you raise your hands? Okay. Wow, so many teachers. So these are the people who are in direct contact in the classroom with the individuals with special educational needs. Okay. And I'd like also to know, wow, plenty of teachers. How many coordinators do we have? Okay, now if the teachers who raised their hands, would you please put your hands down? And now I would like to see only the coordinators. It means if you use or oversee the curriculum or the classroom instructional practices. Okay. Okay. Now, how many, thank you, coordinators. How many of you are school principals? It means you are leading an educational institution. Okay. Okay. That's excellent. Now, among the teachers who raised their hands, are any of you special educators or classroom mainstream teachers? Okay. Okay, really interesting. And now I'd like to know how many of you are policymakers in educational institutions? Like if you are actively engaging in administrative work, shaping the education of the future and the support you provide. Okay, okay. That's amazing. It's good to see a variety of people from different backgrounds and different roles in the field of education. Thank you for participating. Okay. Now, let's go over a quick overview about the key topics that we will be covering. So today's agenda is going to be about, we'll start with an icebreaker, a quick activity, and then we will be briefly talking about what is ABA, the science of applied behavior analysis, and the story, because it's a recent science. And later after that, we are going to talk about briefly about the principles of the inclusive education. Yes, and how the ABA strategies can support inclusive learning environment. Following that, we're going to talk about ABA and inclusion. And there's an article that I'd like to share with you, which is All for One and One for All, the Good Inclusion Game, and how this study and this research was really effective to improve and promote the inclusion in a classroom, and how it was engaging to benefit the student, whether with special educational need or without special educational need. From there, we will be exploring the integrating ABA strategies and inclusion and providing practical tools and techniques that can bring into the classroom and institution to support diverse students. Finally, we'll wrap up with a case study, and we'll take a closer look at real-life examples and how ABA has been successfully integrated into inclusive education. And we will have insightful practices for you to use and implement later on. And I hope by the end of today's session, you will feel well equipped with actionable strategies and deeper understanding on how ABA can support inclusion and in your own educational setting. So, if we're going to start with the icebreaker activity, I'd like each of you to share one challenge you faced when you're trying to promote inclusion in a classroom. So, any of you who had the experience of having a special educational needs student within your classroom, and what was the challenge you were facing whenever you were dealing with this case? Who would like to share their own experience, the challenge they faced in this? Anybody can raise their hands, and then we will take it from there. Yes, Ashraf. Can you unmute yourself and start sharing one of the challenges you faced? I have Ashraf Gama.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So, in regard to the challenges, I represent an education company here in KSA, and we have like what we can say that we include all diverse students into classrooms. We have policy for that. The main challenges that we face was that most teachers are not equipped or have the skills to deal with those unfortunate kids. So in my company, we have developed training for teachers to accommodate all learning because we think that all students are special. We don't recognize or we do not advocate that some of them are special cases. All are special cases, even the high achievers. So based on that, the main challenge was to accommodate all those students in a diverse classroom where teachers need to be well prepared, and also to follow up on that by giving some if I can say, somebody said
I'll
introduce
ask you,
myself.
Mr. Ashraf. Yes, Mr. Ashraf, I'll ask you, because you were mentioning that the main challenge was the homeroom teacher or the regular classroom teacher not being able to deal with those individuals with special educational needs. What has been done from the side on behalf of the administrators to support those teachers?
So as I said, first it was a policy then we have something like what can I say, newsletters for parents that whatever the problem with your kid, if you came and tell us all the details about it, even if a report is needed from someone like a social worker or some other institute outside the school, telling the school administration what to do in that case, that will be preferable or marvelous regarding the mutual interest of the student. So parents need to give us all the details needed. As you know, that put some burden on teachers to can I say diagnose or to help those kids if they came with ready-made or ready reports about what should the school do or what procedure needs to be done. So in that sense, the first thing was communicating with parents. Then inside the school premises, as I said, it was like sessions. We have some special needs department where those highly qualified individuals are the one who is training other teachers how to deal with that. Beside what we call a community of learning, where everybody is exchanging, can I say, knowledge or best practice regarding
Yes,
dealing with
exactly.
that.
Exactly, Mr. Ashraf. So your main concern and the challenge you were facing is that initially the parents were not sharing the needs of the student. And with the Department of Special Education that you have in your institution, how they can collaborate with the regular teachers to make the inclusive project more successful, right?
Yes, this is a way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to hear, yeah, thank you, Mr. Ashraf. I'd like to hear Amani. Amani, you're with us. Would you like to share one of the challenges you faced in your inclusive experience? Amani Harashe? Harashe?
Yes, yes. Good morning,
Hi,
everyone.
Amani. Good morning.
With high regard to Queer Rania Forum, we need such forums as teachers. Yes, in regard with disabilities or those who has special needs in our schools, I faced difficulties with dealing my student. She has difficulty, the disability in her legs. And I face difficulty in dealing with her, especially when we have active learning tasks that needs movement.
Yes.
You know that as an English teacher, I have a degree, a bachelor degree in English literature, and I have no idea how to deal with such a target group. Um, sometimes
Amani, I really appreciate you talking about this that openly, because you were in a situation where like the student was set in your classroom or kind of placed in your classroom without you having the knowledge or the background on how to deal with her, right?
this student is very clever and she's talented one. But the difficulty, I feel sorry for her that I can't do anything and I am not equipped to deal with
You
such
don't
case.
have support team? You don't have special educational professionals who can support you in this?
No, and I think I will not have a generalization, but in my school, as a public school, we don't have any specialized in such
And
cases.
yeah, I understand. And also, I want to add,
Sometimes I attended some of the Queer Rania Academy courses that helps us to think how to plan or design special activities that meet their needs.
Yeah, I really appreciate, Amani, your personal initiative to participate in such event, because it's really important that you are willing to work on yourself and get a better understanding on how to help and support those individuals. That's really excellent. I really appreciate. And I hope that after this session, you will have a better understanding on how we can support inclusive education. And I also want to say something very important, that the support we provide is really case specific. Like, we cannot, if we have used a specific technique to support one child or one student, it doesn't mean it is effective, and it will be effective with others. So it's very important to look at the individual with special educational need as a unique individual, and the approach to be used with this specific child or student should be specific to his needs, strengths, and weaknesses. Yes, I'll take one more participant who would like to share one of the challenges, because we're running out of time. I want to hear Rab'a Qasim.
Hi.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, all. For me, the biggest challenge is diagnosis. Like, sometimes the student isn't diagnosed, and he is like, I used to teach older grades, and he reaches like grade 9 and grade 10, and he is not diagnosed yet. Another challenge is the mistaken diagnosis or diagnostic. Some of the teachers judge students and give incorrect diagnosis that he has a special need or something. Mistakenly, it is not based on scientific or educational evaluation for the student. Most of teachers are not equipped to deal with these students, especially some of the students, like for specialized subjects, are not also trained to be educators or study. They don't study in the university to be educators. They only study like as in scientific field or in literature field. So it is very hard to include them in the classroom. And I don't think teachers have the correct equipments or tools to involve them in the...
Yes, I understand you, Ms. Rab'a. Yes, you're completely right. What I feel with my personal experience for the past 26 years in the field of education and special education, the greatest challenge is to be able to handle cases we are not prepared for. And this is going to be affecting the student himself, the other students, and the whole classroom dynamics. So what we want to do is, whenever we are able to cater for individuals with special needs, it is very important to take into consideration that we want to make it successful, and we want to use the proper technique and proper strategies to be able to handle with this case. And this will lead me to mention something, that there is a small difference between the notion of educational equality and educational equity. So the difference between equality and equity, because when we think of inclusion, we say everybody has the right to be included, or everybody has the right to be treated equally. So there is a small difference between equality and equity, because equality is when we are treating everyone the same way. We're giving them the same educational material and the same support and the same resources and the same opportunities. Maybe this is not what they need. When we talk about equity, we are talking about having all the students receive what they need to achieve to have the same outcome like other students. So the difference between equality and equity is that when we are believing in inclusion, and we say that everybody has the right to be included in a classroom setting, That's right. But we need to provide the right service and the right equipment and the right resources and the appropriate approach to make it successful. So it's not like, okay, they are like any other, they can be in the classroom and receive the same resources like everyone. No, there should be a differentiation. And if the teacher or the team is not equipped to do this, then it's going to be a big challenge and a struggle. I want to add one more thing on what you have said, Mrs. Rab'a, is that you mentioned initially that of the challenges that you're facing in your experience is the diagnosis. I want to say something that I believe in is that diagnosis is not the key for the intervention, because we can have the same diagnosis among two individuals, but we don't have the same behavior or the same skills or the same competence or the same strengths and weaknesses for each child. So when we say diagnosis, okay, maybe it's good to have in the back of our mind that this case is a special case, but without the labeling, because each individual is unique in his own strengths and weaknesses and needs that they are having. You hear me? I don't know if you agree, but my personal
Yes,
experience
yes.
and my personal advocacy to inclusion,
Completely.
yeah, because my personal advocacy for inclusion is not about labeling, it's not about diagnosis, it's about exploring each individual and providing whatever he or she needs. Okay? Now, moving forward, I'm sorry for the others who have raised their hand because we running of time. I'd like just to move on faster so we can cover the content. To start with, what is ABA? The Science of Applied Behavior Analysis. Okay, so now that we have reflected on our experiences, let's see what's the concept of the science of applied behavior analysis. Applied behavior analysis is a scientific approach. When we say scientific, it's very important to mention that it's pure science. It's different than the human sciences, which is mentalistic. It is a science that is purely based on data, based on evidences, based on measurement. It's purely scientific. And the main idea of the science of applied behavior analysis is based on the behavior principles, focusing on how a behavior is learned and how it can be changed, how a behavior is acquired, and what are the interventions that we can use to change this specific behavior if we can, or what are the environmental manipulation that we can have to change this specific behavior. Now, the science of applied behavior analysis has a long history starting from 1960s and is widely used in different settings, including education, and to help modify the behavior through positive reinforcement. So one of the core principles of the science of applied behavior analysis is positive reinforcement. And later, when we will be talking about the research that I will share with you, the good inclusion game, you will see the impact of the positive reinforcement to bring a positive outcome to the field or to the education or to the individual himself. Now, according to the principles of inclusive education, it is important to remember that every student has the right to learn in a general educational setting, regardless of their ability. Like you see in this picture, like we are all a box of crayons and each one is unique, and together the picture is complete. Otherwise, the picture is not going to be complete. Okay, so the variation and the differentiation that we have among all the students is bringing what the community is made of. Okay, so the inclusion is about bringing equal access to education and collaborating between all students and promoting an environment of belonging. We want every single child in a community, whether in school, in a daycare, or in a workplace, or anywhere, to feel that they belong to this place. Okay? So we have three principles that align with the science of applied behavior analysis, is that we can create the environment for the student to feel successful. And the research suggests that inclusive education can result in positive social academic outcome for both individuals with or without special educational needs. Now, the science of applied behavior analysis is a scientific approach that uses the principles of behavior to influence and improve socially significant behaviors. When I say social significant behavior, I mean that the behavior that I want to target or the behavior that I want to focus on and have it improve should be meaningful to the individual and to the people around him. So it has to have social significance. So the science of ABA stems from the study of the behavior in terms of why is the behavior happening, and how we can develop more functional behaviors to reduce problem behaviors. So how we can replace those challenging behaviors or the environmental factors that are causing those challenging behaviors to make them more appropriate and more accommodating. So what we work on when we study the behavior, we work on what happens just before the behavior. It means the trigger. It means what's the antecedent, and what happens just after, which is the consequence. And when we analyze the antecedents and the consequences, we can manipulate the variables and shape more functional and acceptable behavior. So the ABA helps create targeted interventions. Yes, Ibtisam, you have a question? You're raising your hand. Ibtisam Abu Sulaiman.
Good morning. No, I don't have
Good
a
morning.
question, but I have something to put it for behavior. The most important
Yes.
things when I go and join my classes, all the time I ask them the most important rules for me for the behavior. Don't touch things that are around of you, because it's not belong for you. Even your body, you cannot touch it, because you may hurt yourself by put the pencil, by putting something like this. And this is the most important rules for me. So the behavior is very, very important. When they respect each other, they can sit nicely, they can accept everything, they can be in the class, whatever you want, you will have it
Yes.
inside the class. And because my
Yes.
school have the safeguarding all the time, we do this issue. It's very important for the behavior. When you respect the others, you respect yourself, you respect everything, every rules, and you will accept everything, you will learn it in the school. Thanks a lot.
Okay, I want to add something, Ibtisam, to what you have said. It is
Yes.
very important to set the rules and to set clearly your expectations from the student you're working with, like what he's allowed and he's not allowed to do. But the ABA approach, or the science of the applied behavior analysis, believes that if we provide positive reinforcement to a specific behavior, then this behavior will increase in the future. So you set your expectation, and you need to set a behavior intervention plan, like providing reinforcement for desirable behavior in order to reach the targets you want to get. Like setting the expectations and explaining the rules in a classroom is very important, but the action plan to implement it using positive reinforcement technique is more effective.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, Ibtisam. Now, if we continue with what we're saying, we are talking about the ABA, as we said, and we have 1 minute, Fida. Let me finish this, then I'll take your question. Okay? So, the science of applied behavior analysis and the approach is grounded in the philosophy of behaviorism, which means, and it views the behavior as a response to environmental factors. Like every behavior is a way of communication. Like when somebody is behaving in a specific way, it means there is communication behind this, because there are some environmental factors that are causing those behaviors. So by adjusting those factors in the environment, ABA practitioners can guide individuals toward more adaptive and meaningful behaviors, like we want to make them more functional. This makes the science of applied behavior analysis a highly effective field, because it has proven to be effective, and it is evidence-based in the field of education itself, in the field of therapy, and the field of developmental support, and particularly with individuals with autism or other special needs. Okay, so to wrap up about the ABA, I want to say that ABA provides a framework to understand and influence the behavior in a way that promotes positive changes in real life situations. Yes, I had someone raising hand. Fida, you want to say something? Fida? You were raising your hand and I said I will take your question when I finish this. No? Okay, I'll get Reem Al-Balawi. You want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say, how can ABA help us? And why do we use it? Or how can it be important?
Okay, we will be talking about the core principles of the science of applied behavior analysis, which I already mentioned that one of them is the positive reinforcement approach. And you will see how using the principles of the science of applied behavior analysis will improve the behavior of individuals. And as you know, in ABA, we have two different things or two different targets to focus on. We have skill acquisition. It means we are going to provide the proper way to have the individual acquire proper skills. And those skills will be to replace the problem behaviors. And on the other hand, we have the behavior reduction plan. It means how we can approach the child to reduce the challenging behavior he's facing or the struggles he's facing. So when we bring in an action plan or the individualized education plan, skill acquisition and behavior reduction, then together we can make a change in with the child. Okay, and we will be talking about the principles. Yes, Fida, you're back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's morning in Amman. I wish you all a blessed morning, inshallah.
Thank
My
you.
note regarding this issue is not only how to modify the behavior of the student targeted, the one who's suffering from certain problems, whether he has problems because of his speech delay or he has issues with his cognition abilities. I think one of the problems that most classes or the child himself cannot deal with such behaviors. We focus on the idea of the child needs certain behavior modification to be adjusted and be included inside the classroom. However, we face lots of problems from the environment, parents, children. They don't want any quote unquote weird behaviors or strange behaviors or irregular behaviors to come out inside the class, which will allow distraction, affect the performance of other students. I think this is one of the dilemmas, as a culture, as a community. The whole concept of inclusion is not completely widespread. I agree with you that teachers, not all teachers are fully equipped with skills to deal with these unfortunate groups, but still also as parents and as other classroom classroom colleagues or peers, we still have the problem of lacking the
Fida,
concept of,
yes, I want to say something. To make the inclusion a successful project, it takes a whole
Yeah.
community to make it.
Yes,
It means
definitely. I
if
agree
we
with that.
are admitting, from my personal experience, if I am as a school or as an institution admitting a student into my premises, I should be able to provide whatever this child needs. If I am not able to provide, whether from the resources, whether from the human resources or the teachers, if they're not well equipped and trained, then it's unfair for the child to be in this setting. So it's
Yes,
very important to have it as, it's not like we admitted the child and then everything should be sorted out. That's not the case. If I'm not able to provide the service the child needs, then I'm doing more harm to the child than I'm serving his needs. You get me?
yes, and definitely from personal experience, my child has had the speech delay, and I went through the problem and the dogma of the school policy and school acceptance, etc., for like more than 13 years. The whole
Yeah.
idea is that public schools, they don't provide such thing in our communities, the Middle Eastern communities. In addition to that, private schools, some schools, they might allow it, but it's really expensive. So the parent of the child goes into two-direction road. It's either to send him to a public school and deal with all the problems that emerge with the idea of whether he's included in the community of the class or not, or he has to pay a lot in order to be
I know.
accepted, or for
I
his
know.
child to be accepted in a private
But it's
school that
everywhere,
caters
Fida.
for that.
This
Yeah.
is the case everywhere.
Yeah, that's my note. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately. Thank
you
you.
for sharing.
Yes,
Thank
Mrs. Jiman, you have something to mention?
Yes, thank you, Christine. Hello, everyone. I missed introducing at the beginning. أنا اسمي جيمان عماري وأنا المؤسس لجمعية أوتيزمينا. Christine, we're very proud that you're with us. إحنا إلنا مع Christine over 7 years. We're very proud إنه نكون جزء من this great forum, and we're back after a few years. رح أحكي معكم مش كجمعية أوتيزمينا، رح أحكي معكم كأم لطفل لهاشم. اليوم هاشم عمره 17 سنة ورح يتخرج السنة وإن شاء الله رح يروح على المدرسة. هذا الموضوع كتير مهم thank you Christine, you touched on that. It takes a whole community. It takes أول شيء the parents. الأهالي كتير مهم يكونوا on board. وأنا حاولت أحكي من أول بس ما I'm sorry, this is an English session. So basically when you have the parents on board, and this is the main pillar for inclusion, for moving forward, acceptance, having the parents on board. فكتير مهم اللي انحكى at the beginning, that parents need to be very clear with the school about ما رح نحكي diagnosis is not important. What's important that we have the proper tools to test and measure the milestone of the child. Where is he? Where we need him to be? We need to have qualified, certified خلينا نحكي teachers, counselors. You can يعني name it the way you want. It depends on the internal policy of the institution or the school. And then once we have the parents coming clear to us, and then we work together مع المدرسة. And then at the same time, إذا إحنا قررنا نكون as an institution, إنه نحن نكون an inclusive institution, this means the whole school community. This means we need to talk to the parents of atypical kids. We need to talk to the students and raise their awareness. And this is what Christine said. It takes a whole community to come together to have a proper success and to progress with the skills with our kids. Having said that, I'll go back to a few pillars اللي هم أول إشي the institution itself. It needs to have clear policies in accepting the kids, the process, and self-assessment. Are we ready إنه نحن نكون an inclusive school? And we need to have clear policies. How do we accept it? Testing tools, And then, are we ready as a community? This way, you will not to get to a point where you have a student inside the classroom where you can't provide to him. The environment is not accepting. I don't have the qualified staff to accept that. We don't have the proper tools to modify, because you need to do accommodations and modifications and many other more. And I'm not going to steal the session from Christine, but I just want to emphasize how it's very important. If we decide to become an inclusive institution, it takes a lot of work, and we need to start from internally by having the clear guidelines and policies on accepting the kids inside our schools, and then we can move forward. And that takes, more awareness for the parents, more awareness for the neurotypical students, and for the entire community, starting with the teachers. Teachers need to accept and to understand what is inclusion and why it's important to be an inclusive school. So,
and I want to mention one more thing, is that when we apply the proper approach for inclusion, it's going to be beneficial for the child with special educational need and with the ones without special educational needs, because they will benefit from the idea or the philosophy of accepting diversity that we will be talking about.
Absolutely, and exactly, we are talking about accepting diversity and inclusion. It's not about only children with special need or autism. Children with wearing glasses, obese, children with different behaviors. This is all about diversity and acceptance. I would just say one more thing. We have another session around 1 o'clock, and it will concentrate about partnership and applied behavior analysis and the importance of the science. So if any heads of institutions and anyone would like to join that session, also we will talk extensively about partnership and why it's important to bring the experts on board. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you
for having us. Thank you.
Okay, now let's continue with the science of of applied behavior analysis. And as we know, and parents or teachers who might have need to knowledge, or they want to access resources of people, how to deal with specific behavior or how to deal with specific challenge. And we go online and we search and we get a lot of information or approaches or interventions. But what makes the science of applied behavior analysis special is that it's evidence-based. What does it mean, an evidence-based intervention? An evidence-based intervention is a critical feature of the science of applied behavior analysis, which means that all strategies and techniques that are used have been rigorously tested and proven effective through scientific research. It's all evidence-based. It is all proven. There is a research behind it. It's not just about trials and errors. It is based on procedures that are studied and are used with experimental designs. As I said, it's purely scientific, and the findings are systematically analyzed, replicated, and peer-reviewed articles, which I will be sharing one of them with you in a while, and then are being published and implemented and incorporated into what we are doing. Now that we're going to explore ABA as a powerful science to change the behavior in a meaningful way. So what I want to say is that the science of applied behavior analysis is validated and data-driven. What does it mean, data-driven? It means that the child is behaving on a specific way because of the specific antecedent that I'm seeing, or the child is moving around in the classroom, for example, most of the time. Most of the time is not a terminology that we use in ABA. What we use in ABA is the child is moving around in the classroom like 20% of the session or 60% of the session, because it is all measured and data is collected, and we rely on those data and measurements and numbers to analyze the behavior and those individualized measurements to create the intervention plan accordingly. And whenever I have concrete numbers and concrete data, it will help me compare if this behavior has improved with time or it hasn't. So when I have concrete numbers and percentages and measurements, this is helping me evaluate the intervention or the approach I'm using. Okay, so one of the core strengths of the science of applied behavior analysis is the ability to improve socially important behaviors. As I said, the term applied in Arabic, التطبيقي, in applied behavior analysis means it is social significant, socially important behavior. It means enhancing communication, language, social interaction, adaptive behavior, eating, toileting, self-help skills, everything that makes the child feel he belongs to a special community and he is being successful or independent part in this community without being a burden on others. So this is the main idea. So we use systematic intervention to address a wide range of behaviors across different people, different settings, and we make it successful and functional. Okay? So people think that the science of applied behavior analysis is only for autism or only for individuals with severe problem behavior. What I want to say that is that it is well known in the treatment of children with developmental disabilities or neurodevelopmental challenges, such as autism. However, I want to say that the science of applied behavior analysis, it is important part in education, in organizational management, and even in sports and in performance, like eating habits, smoking habit, exercising, addiction, brain injury. All those approaches or all those cases can be taken into consideration with the science of applied behavior analysis because we want to focus on reinforcing desired actions. Now, as I said, the science of applied behavior analysis is a recent science, and I said that it's less than 100 years of research or science or articles. It started in 1910, and because the behavior analysis was first introduced back then, the philosophy of behaviorism stated that the best way to understand people is by focusing on things that are observable and measurable, okay? What they say and what they do. So those are the two main things that the science of behaviorism focuses on. To understand the individual, we check what they say and what they do, okay? And then in the 1930s to 1950s, researchers made a crucial discovery in terms of the events that happen after the behavior. It means the consequence, what follows the behavior, occurred. They determine if this behavior is going to be repeated in the future or not. So it depends on what comes after the behavior to know if the specific behavior will happen again in the future or no. So it's all related to the consequences. Then in the 1950s and 1960s, scientists began using the knowledge to change the behavior and to improve the lives of individuals with special needs. This was the field of behavior, applied behavior analysis, because previously it was the science of experimental behavior analysis. So the experiments that were run in laboratories. Later, it became applied behavior analysis because it was being implemented on human beings as a science to bring meaningful and socially valid changes in the life of individuals. Today, ABA is a science. We have tens and thousands of certified people and professionals using these principles to help individuals, families, schools, and organizations to achieve meaningful outcome and behavior changes. So if I want to discuss very quickly the core principles of the science of applied behavior analysis, because somebody was asking, why should we use ABA, or how we can use ABA to make it a successful, inclusive environment for the individual. So I want to mention, as I said, we have skill acquisition and behavior reduction. So we focus on how to improve communication, how to make it more effective, how to improve classroom dynamics, how to become more productive, how to create the motivation to have more productive outcomes. Okay, so one of the principles is the principle of shaping. In Arabic, we say at-tashkil. What means shaping? Shaping is reinforcing successive approximation to the target behavior. It means we believe that change, for it to happen, it takes time. It needs to come in small steps and gradually reinforcing the closest approximation to the target behavior. Okay? The second core principle in the science of applied behavior analysis is prompting. In Arabic, it's at-talqin. What does prompting mean? Prompting means if I want the child to feel comfortable and motivated to achieve whatever I'm asking him to do, then I need to provide additional support or help or prompt or guidance to complete a specific task. We don't want the child to feel frustrated or to be in a situation of failure over and over because he's not able to do something. So what my role is to provide the prompt that is needed to have a successful behavior. But what is more important, other than the prompting, is fading the prompt, because we don't want to raise a child or to educate a child who turns to become prompt dependent. It means he turns to become dependent on the support that others are providing. So what is more important than prompting is fading the prompt. So whenever I am setting a plan that I am going to provide specific prompt to a specific child to complete specific task, I need also to think how I'm going to fade my prompt gradually so he can complete it in an independent way. Another core principle of the science of ABA is the reinforcement. As I said, التعزيز, the positive reinforcement brings positive changes in the behavior. So the reinforcement strengthens the behavior by following it with positive consequences. And this will enable the child to do those specific behavior more frequently in the future. Okay, so adding a reward or removing something that is unpleasant for the child will make the behavior more likely to happen in the future. Also, another core principle, I've mentioned 4 of many other core principles of ABA, but I wanted to summarize them into brief core principles of ABA, is the principle of extinction. Extinction in Arabic means al-itfa. It means if I want to stop a specific behavior or a specific way of behaving, I need to stop providing the reinforcement I used to provide. Because, as I said, the behavior can happen more likely in the future if it is reinforced. If I don't want this behavior to happen anymore, then I need to stop providing the reinforcement I used to provide, which is the principle of extinction. Any questions so far? Okay, so very quickly, because I have mentioned about skill acquisition and behavior reduction. So the ABA science helps children acquire new skills, because why do we need those new skills? To replace the challenging behavior, to replace the problem behavior, okay? Because we want them to become independent, we want them to have proper social interaction. If he's not able to talk, then I need to teach him communication. If he is not able to get dressed independently, then I need to teach him how to become independent. So teaching independent and functioning skills so he can be, as I said, we don't want the child to be a burden on others or like relying or dependent on others. Okay. And And the key part of skill acquisition is that we are teaching with motivation, okay? Learning with motivation. We want the child to feel eager and excited to learn a specific skill. We don't want to put them in situations where they fail or to frustrate them. And the behavior reduction focuses on reducing challenging behavior by teaching the replacement, what to do instead. Okay? Now, moving forward, okay, I'm going to go very quickly on those visuals that we have different setups of inclusive education as part of human rights. So we have the right to education and the right for inclusion and attending school. It's very why we want our students or kids or individuals to be included in a regular setting. We want them to access the academic curriculum. We want them to learn in a school setting like any other child. We want them to generalize the learned behavior in the natural environment. We want to learn academic skills in a group setting because it will benefit everyone in the group. And we want to learn from neurotypical individuals the proper behavior or the appropriate behaviors, okay? And we want them to be with age-appropriate peers. So this is very important. And eventually, we want them to be independent. Now, looking at this visual, okay, we have different presentations of the population. First, we have the exclusion, which a group of neurotypical are together, and around them are the ones that are having challenges or have special educational needs or any kind of need. We also have the separation, like we put the neurotypical together and the neurodivergent people together. We can have integration. Integration, it means having them within the community, but again, isolated within the community. But the inclusion is having them among us, like it's showing. Now, after working on inclusion, we want to teach diversity. We want all our students or people or individuals in the community to accept diversity and to be with them and accepting them. Okay? Now, moving forward, I'm not going to go over the different types because we're running out of time. So now I want to ask you a question. Very quickly, we have 3 minutes to answer this question. Why do you think it is important for schools to be inclusive? Who can answer? Yes, hello. Hello, you're with us? You're raising your hand? Why do you think it is important for schools to be inclusive?
Can you unmute yourself, please, Hala?
Okay, you're ready, Hala?
Hello, yes.
Hello, good
I
morning.
was unmuted. Okay, hello. The main thing I think, because I work with students with autism, autism has more than educational problems than its
Maybe you have a sound problem, Hala. Maybe you need to move to another person.
Okay,
Christine?
I want to hear from Batul. Batul, you want to share your opinion why we need to have inclusion in schools?
Hi, yes. So I think schools are just like a smaller image or of how the
Sampling.
world is. Yes. Hello, you can hear me, right? Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sorry. Okay, so like we in the world around us, we have autistic kids. We have them like any special needs kid. So why in schools we should separate them? So we should other students without any special needs things, that they should know how to be around other students. So we all should be together in the same community, same, you know what I mean? So this is one of the things why our school should include everyone, and of course teachers
Yes.
should be trained to deal with how, like, different types of students, because this is life. Later on, they're going to graduate, they're going to go in the real world, and if they feel that they were
Exactly.
not
I
included all
totally
the time,
agree
yeah.
with you. So it is important to include them in schools because this will promote the future inclusion in the community. Right? Okay, I want to take one more answer, very quick one.
Maybe
Noura
you can.
Jaradat.
Okay.
Noura, you're with us?
Maybe you can ask Mr. Sampson also to participate if Noura is not ready.
Actually, I am here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, my dear. For the inclusive community we're talking about, I think that all people, regardless of their ability, should be able to participate and engage in this range of community activities, especially the students. They gain their social and community skills if we don't isolate them in their classrooms to limit their range of educational opportunities. If they learn how to communicate with others, they would learn from their peers. They would learn from observation around them in life. If we limit them into four walls in one class, they won't have those social skills. Because inclusion promotes the diverse friendship and interaction with their friends to enrich their lives. They would learn more than, let's say, school skills. They would learn more from their schoolmates because they are their peers. They would, let's say, apply and interact with them more, and they would have enriched these skills.
Exactly. Yes, you're right. So as you see on my screen, so these are so many reasons to believe that inclusion is very important for the individual with special educational needs and for the other neurotypical kids that is going to be beneficial for the whole community in the future. Now,
Exactly.
moving forward, I'm going to discuss the article that I'm going to share with you. The article's title is All for One, One for All, the Good Inclusion Game. What is the Good Inclusion Game? Because initially, as we said, the science of ABA relies on reinforcement, and I need to provide reinforcement to promote a certain behavior. And I need to encourage individuals with rewards or with positive reinforcement to enhance specific behavior. So one of the most powerful application of ABA is inclusive education, and this article of the Good Inclusion Game. The objective of the study was to assess the effectiveness of an educational intervention, and the game was designed to increase inclusive behavior between students with and without special educational needs within the classroom. So the idea was we are going to set an expectation in the classroom to the individuals who are here. And the idea is to provide points or rewards or reinforcement for specific behavior. Those specific behaviors were based mainly on showing care and sharing, like asking each other. The students were supposed to ask each other in group activities if his classmate or his peers needs help, or if they need to share anything. Okay, so this is very important, that the class-wide intervention brings together that the child needs to request information and he needs to offer others if they need information, and this will bring positive and general comments to everyone. Okay, so the idea was the class is split into teams. The rules were shared and explained. The feedback was given immediately, and it was the students were aware that the criteria to earn the reward is established. Like if you ask your classmate or your peer if they need help or support, and the reward was provided. And collecting the points would make the whole classroom win, if you want to say a reward or something special. Okay, so the students were earning points, and this was done during a specific period of 15-minute activity. And the 15 minutes activity was divided into 20 seconds intervals. And during those specific intervals, the rewards or the points were being provided. Okay, so the idea was we want to promote communication and we want to promote sharing and care. Okay, so this showed to be really effective. So the result of the study was very promising in terms of the researchers found a significant increase in the inclusive behavior when the good inclusion game was introduced. The population that we are working on and the research was done was students between 6 and 7 years old. So we're talking about young kids. Okay, and as a result, when we were promoting communication and sharing and support and help, it proved that the disruptive behavior decreased in the classroom. It brought positive change in the classroom dynamic. And the most important part was that those positive changes were maintained over time. After the intervention or the good inclusion game was implemented with those students, so it was proven that there was sustained and it was happening over and over. So this shows that the game had immediate and long-term positive effect on the classroom and the class dynamics. So in conclusion, the good inclusion game proved to be an effective tool for promoting inclusivity in the classroom. It demonstrates the potential of group-based intervention to create lasting positive change. So we need to start small and we need to maintain it, sustain it, and then generalize it into the community. So this study of the good inclusion game highlights the importance of inclusive education and suggests that this approach could be beneficial to teacher training and broader school inclusion program. Also, I forgot to mention that the criteria of the good inclusion game, so we set the expectation to the students, and at the same time, the teachers were trained to implement those good inclusion game techniques. So we worked, like the researchers, worked with the students and the teachers to make the inclusion a successful project. Okay? Now, to wrap up, I just want to, because we only have 5 more minutes, I'm going to give, if Mr. Shadi allows me, 3 minutes for the first case study and 3 minutes for the second case study, just to wrap up. Let's look at some case studies using the ABA strategies that we have discussed. The first case is a student with autism integrated into the mainstream classroom, and we want to use the ABA principles. Okay? What can we do to promote this child with autism in the classroom? And we want to develop communication with peers and interaction. How we can, what approach can we use to make this inclusion project a success? Who can share? Yes, Ala. Ala, you're with us? Okay, Maysoon.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Okay. I think I treat him like a normal student in the class. But
Okay.
in myself, I know that he is a special case, but he will be like any child in the class. That we have a class like this in my school.
Okay. Okay, but how you are going to make it a successful inclusion? Like, it's not only about having him in the classroom and providing the material or the content. How you want to promote inclusion while developing communication and proper interaction? Because as we know, individuals with autism have a challenge with social integration. They might be very skillful and they have great potential academically, but we want to include them in the community or in the classroom and promote communication. What can we do? I'll ask Amuna.
Hello, good morning. Could you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, for those special with for those students with a special need, it's better just to give them or to it's from the beginning of the class when you are making your lesson plan. It's very important to make some activities for them or to include them in your lesson plan. For example, when you are talking about activity, it's better if you just include them with peer group activity. So you can just let him or her just be more active with a peer group. Okay, so and for the seating plan also, it's very important just to let him sit in a safe place so you can just control him without being you can just manage or you can just see all his movement.
Okay.
And okay, this is
Yes.
okay. And
What
also,
I
if
want to
there is
say also, because we're running out of time and Mr. Shadi is reminding me and prompting me that we need to wrap up, the main idea of making this integration or this inclusion a success for the child with autism is providing the skills for the individual with autism, but at the same time, providing, as I said in the Good Inclusion Game article, providing reward for his peers to initiate interacting with him, to initiate socially including him, to initiate playing with him. And all this engagement will make the inclusion and the integration more successful. Okay, now I'm going to wrap up with the questions and answers. We're running out of time, but I wanted to have some interaction, maybe some of the discussion took longer than expected. So any questions and answers, we're open to discuss. Yes, Mr. Shadi, you want to say something?
Maybe they can send the questions via chat so that we can choose just a couple of the questions before we conclude.
Okay, I wasn't able to follow what's happening on the chat. I can see more than 100 messages, but I wasn't following at all. So what specific question you want us to address?
I'll see now.
Yes.
Yes, I think the majority of them are asking about if they could have the presentation, and I'm not sure that if you could provide them with the presentation, but the good thing is that we will, this presentation is recorded and the recordings of all sessions will be available in our website, maybe days from now, within a couple of days, maybe from now. So, and also there is no need for the participant to send their emails because the attendance is electronically recorded. There is a question from Hiba. Will the reward system work with older students from 10 years and up?
Can you repeat, please, Mr. Shadi? What's Huda's question?
Will the reward system work with older students from 10 years and up? A question by Hiba El Wasif.
Okay, so the idea is that rewards and awards we are giving for achieving something positive or for appropriate behavior is case specific. It means before we start any intervention in the science of ABA, we do something called the preference assessment. It means we want to see what the child needs to, for example, as a reward, he would feel really happy or eager to receive this as a reward. And this will enable him to keep on behaving this way so he can earn the reward. So the main idea is knowing what is the preference of the child so we can provide the reinforcement accordingly, regardless of the age group.
Yeah, and there's another question and the final question by Susan Abu Hamad. How could we know that we are implementing inclusive education properly as educators and recognize it from differentiation and integration?
Okay, differentiation, modification, and accommodation. This is very important to make the integration or the inclusion a success. So how do you measure that the inclusion is successful? It's that when you compare the baseline or what you had initially from the child to where he is now. And if the goals or the objectives that were initially set in the individual plan were met on time or they were not met. And if those concepts or skills that were acquired were generalized, observed, and measured in a natural setting or in generalized setting.
Yes, thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you. So, Mr. Shadi, for the people
contribution.
who were asking for the slides, I would like them to reach us, if possible, to info@autismmina.org. And I want to mention also that we have another session in the afternoon at 1 p.m. And you can reach us, Autism Mina, on all social platforms. And thank you, Mr. Shadi, and thank you, QRTA, for this opportunity to bring us all together. And I'm really pleased with the number of people, 688 people. So that's excellent.
Very big number. Thank you so much, Christine. Actually, in conclusion of this special workshop at Queen Rania Teacher Academy Forum 2024, presented by Christine Der Sarkisian and Jiman Amari, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to you all for your active and inspiring participation. We hope that this workshop has enriched your ideas and educational skills. We also would like to remind you that your certificate of attendance will be sent to you by email, maybe within a couple of days, not today. And we encourage you as well to complete the feedback survey, which will assist us in enhancing future events. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the second day of the panel discussions, but still today, we still have more than one workshop that you can attend. Thank you so much and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.